everybody. Welcome to our Juneteenth panel 2025. We have a wonderful lineup for you tonight. We have our host, Darius Johnson, a voice actor. We got Catrice Monson, who is the CEO of Group for Lee, Tembiza Mshaka, who's the author and voice actor, Jan Lopez, the CEO of Black Girl Gamers, and Kane Jungbluth Murray, who is a voice actor. And we're here to celebrate with you all today. So thank you all for being here. Happy Juneteenth. Take it away, Darius.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. We are so thankful for you sharing this time with us, especially on Juneteenth. We have an amazing group of people with us today. We're going to just jump right in because I want to hear each and everyone's story, and feel free to give us, the good, the bad, the ugly, because we're going to do some deep dives and just talk about all things we can in the next hour. So let's get into it. Going down the panel, I would love for each person to share a bit of their journey in the entertainment industry, like what you do, how you got started, and any obstacles that you may faced along the way. Catrice, could you start with for us, please?
Yes, I'm very happy to be here with you all today. I am sitting here in Los Angeles, California, and born and raised here, which I feel like a little bit of a unicorn at this point in the world. But I come to you as a lawyer. I have a legal background. I thought when I was going to law school that I was going to do public interest law. And I'll put that on the shelf because then I got out of law school or was graduating and thought, okay, I have all these student loans. I get a job at the children's court. I'm going to make $26,000 and I have about $75,000 in student loans living in Los Angeles. That's not going to work. So I went to a law firm where I represented schools and cities. I promise I'll get to the entertainment part. So I did that for 3 years and I'm doing the thumbs up. I did that for 3 years and started negotiating contracts with unions and guilds. At about the third year of my time at that law firm, CBS Studios recruited me to come negotiate contracts on their behalf with the unions and guilds in the entertainment industry. So I spent the greater part of my career, another like 17 years, representing CBS for their TV, studios, news, radio, sports. They started a films division. I did the contract negotiations for that, a couple Super Bowls, the Grammys, all that stuff. So I did that for almost 17 years. And then I switched into diversity, equity, and inclusion on the corporate side of CBS, started that department on the West Coast in 2016. And then did a bunch of stuff in that space and then went out on my own in 2020 and took everything that I had kind of done through my career and started doing it for other studios. CBS was my first client. I've worked on several reality shows, been embedded in reality shows, doing advisory work, everything from labor relations to inclusion, and a lot in between. So that's what I do now, also learning and development and compliance training. But I really do love the entertainment space because it's all about storytelling, which is so much of, I think, where we're all here. And we know that it has such an impact, and that entertainment space has reaches so many people. So that's why I love working with this industry in particular.
Amazing. I already feel inspired because when I was in 7th grade, I wanted to become a lawyer, and I had a teacher who told me I talked back so much I needed to become a lawyer. So I guess I use that talking in another sense. But I want to throw one more thing at you that I want to all of our panelists to answer as well. I want to know also, what brings you Black joy?
Oh, well, I think that's a really good question, and one I have to take a pause. I mean, I think for that definition, because I think it could be a broad one, but family and storytelling, like I said, about things that just are everyday that we live, whether that's just, the interactions, the human interactions, the family interactions, friends, seeing people in all these different spaces in different industries as executives, as voiceover talent, as actors, as the CEO, as the doctor, as the person I see every day, my barista that that to me is that's Black joy. It's just day-to-day life, doing life with people that look like different versions of me, and seeing that in different spaces every day, all day.
All right. Love, that's a great answer. That's a great, and I just want to say that it's all about what brings you joy. So hey, this is an open-ended answer. But thank you so much for answering that. Going to move on to our next panelist. On my list, I have Jayanne Lopez. Come
Hi,
on
everyone.
down.
Hi. So my name is Jayanne Lopez. I'm the CEO and founder of Black Girl Gamers. Also in LA, but clearly from the accent, not from LA. Born and raised in East London, but living in the United States for the last couple of, at least 3 years now. Working out here. I'm predominantly in the gaming industry. I started Black Girl Gamers as a Facebook group in 2015. Solely out of loneliness and need for safety in the industry. If anyone knows about the gaming industry, being Black and being a woman can be extremely tough. There's an idea that particularly white men own this space, and they do not. They often ignore the contributions of Black people, particularly Black Americans, especially like Jerry Lawson, in the gaming industry. So over the years, have cultivated a community and a brand, so a community-born brand that now works with studios and non-endemic brands for our community to provide them with opportunities, but also offer talent work. We work with studios to help market their games and also consult with studios when it comes to Black representation and authenticity and the characters, but also how to connect with the Black gaming audience or marginalized gaming audience too. And we also create content to allow Black women globally in all different shapes and forms and accents and stories to be seen as gamers. And then for me personally, my journey has, through Black Girl Gamers, expanded into, again, being a consultant, working with both gaming and non-gaming brands, being a member at BAFTA and a judge at BAFTA for games, and consulting and writing for certain like organizations and stuff. So games are really like my medium of choice. I'm very much a Pisces. If you believe in astrology, I love fantasy. I will be with the fairies and the mermaids. I love that kind of stuff. So I'm very much, that is my area of entertainment, but I also love film and the intersection between TV and film and games that's happening right now. It's a beautiful space to be. In terms of obstacles, I kind of mentioned already, there's a lot of the industry in the 80s set up the white male audience to feel like they are the core audience, regardless of any contribution from or kind of participation from anyone. Because contrary to popular belief, gaming actually started as a hobby for families and for couples. And then in the 80s, there was a crash in the industry, which saturated the market. And then companies like Nintendo, PlayStation, Sega started to cater specifically to the white male audience through their marketing. And then that stuck for decades. So when that happens, what you get is a lot of cronyism and nepotism in the space, and a lot of issues in the workplace as well. So we hope to, through our many ways, help alleviate that. But that you can get a lot of pushback. Last year was especially hard in the gaming industry for Black women and other marginalized people because due to the political climate, I don't even need to tell you what happened, but death threats and stuff like that. So it was particularly hard last year. But what brings me Black joy, similar to what Catrice said, is Black frivolity. I love seeing Black people frolic. It can be at an event. I love seeing people dance. That is something that, regardless of where we're from, it's just something from the heart. We enjoy joy. We enjoy laughter. We enjoy music. We enjoy soulful interaction. And that is what I try to build through whatever I do within the gaming industry. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jayanne. And I
Thank
appreciate
you.
everything you said. Have so much respect for the girl gamers because I grew up with a lot. My sisters, my cousins, so many. The ratio of men to women in my family, so many women. So they were all gamers too, and they would kick my butt.
I love that. Tell them to
Still
join. There we
do.
go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to Mbisa. Can you come on down, introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, happy Juneteenth. My name is Timbisa Mshaka. I've been in the entertainment industry now maybe 33 years, something like that. I started out at the age of 17 working in the touring industry as an intern, and then that became working as the office and contracts manager for a booking agent, and I got to defend writers and book travel and collect money for people like Gil Scott-Heron, Etta James, Lucy Collins, Stanley Turrentine, just a lot of our favorites from the culture from, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and the 80s. And so from there, I was writing a kind of just because I had this passion for hip hop, the music that I, felt was of my generation. Of course, my parents, gave me all of that funk, soul, straight ahead jazz, gospel, right? But hip hop felt like it was mine. And so I used to write for local street magazines in the Bay Area at the time. And from there, got the opportunity to become the rap editor for a magazine called Gavin, which is kind of like a West Coast version of Billboard, weekly trade magazine. And so I was the editor there from 1993 to 1998 and put a lot of some of our favorites on the cover, from Bone Thugs and Harmony to D'Angelo and Scarface and Lady of Rage and Common. Just gave them some of their first opportunities and helped to break many artists during that time. And from there, went on to work at Sony Music and write album campaigns for over 100 different album and single projects within a 5-year period, the first of which was Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And then went on to work for Jill Scott, Will Smith, Wyclef, Wu-Tang, Nas. We did 8 campaigns together. And then, of course, the Destiny's Child franchise. I did a few of their group albums and then the individual debut albums for Kelly, Beyonce, and Michelle. And from there, started to become a voice actor because I was doing all these scratch reads for TV and radio spots. And then at one point, somebody asked me to record a spot. And so that was 23 years ago. And I've been voicing for television networks, was a network voice at one point for Oxygen, the Smithsonian Channel, and Lifetime all at once. Have voiced for the Tokyo Olympics for the women of Team USA, the WNBA, New York Liberty, and then, of course, just tons of different brands. My latest campaign is Noah's Ark, the movie, which just dropped on Paramount Plus. So just super proud to be able to represent Black womanhood across all of these different categories as a voice actor, and have become a teaching artist as well, doing intensives for artists at conferences, the first of which was Voiceover Atlanta this past March. And I've been consulting aspiring actors for many years through my company, Mshaka Media. I also wrote the definitive book about women in entertainment called Put Your Dreams First, Handle Your Entertainment Business. And that second edition of that book will be coming out hopefully by the end of the year or early next year. So it's a little bit about me.
All right. And I want to know, what brings you Black joy?
Well, I'm a Sagittarius.
Hey. Okay. Me too.
December 4th, we the life of the party, and we can also just stay at home and enjoy our own company. But
That's
I would say that for me, travel is like Black joy for me. I love traveling with my kids. My son is 25, my daughter's 14.
Wow.
And I also love traveling with this travel group that I'm a part of called the Pink Girls. And we go all over the world together. And it's just a group of Black women who, travel the world. So with them, I've been able to go to Dubai and Bali and the Amalfi Coast, and experiencing travel with other Black people just makes me so, so happy. I mean, I can't even, it's like the healthiest addiction So
I love
my
it.
next one is Kenya and the Seychelles next spring with Pink Girls. So shout out to the Pink Girls. Pink Girls run the world.
I was gonna ask where y'all going next. You already told me. I love it. I love it.
Yep,
What
yep.
a beautiful way to get into the industry. You know, there's always that saying that there's no linear way to get in, but wow, I've never such
Literally
a
say this
beautifully
in the book.
interesting way. Wow. I love it. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for sharing that. Thank you. And last but not least, Kane.
Hey, what's up? My name is Kane Jumpeth Murray. First of all, I'm just completely baffled that I'm even here on this panel. Here in the last introductions, you are bold Black women taking on everything, and it's inspiring. Like I am beyond grateful to be sitting here in my beautiful home, talking to other beautiful people that have such a drive. Yeah, it's mind blowing. So, my name is Kane Jumpeth Murray. I am a voice actor. I am coming to you from Gilbert, Arizona, born and raised here in Phoenix. And so I do all of everything that I do from right here in that booth right behind me. So let's see, man, y'all had some great introductions. I should have written something, hired a speechwriter. Uh, so let me do this. Let me say this. I'm a normal dude that had a crazy life that led to this. And so let me back it up a little bit. Let me back it up. So I've been in the industry for about maybe 15 years. And so when I was 18, after having a really tough time through high school, I decided to move to Hollywood because I wanted to make stuff happen. And I wanted to see what I could do. I thought I was going to go to school at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And it didn't work out for me because I didn't know what I was doing. So I thought I'd move to Hollywood anyways. And when I got there, I didn't know what to do either, except for show up at any event or networking event that I could to get to know people, get to understand what this industry had to offer. But I never thought about voiceover at all because it wasn't something that was on my radar. I like a lot of people that I meet, they're confused as to what even voiceover, what it is. You know, whenever I have to explain, I'm like, the voice you hear on like a radio, in the elevator, at the grocery store. Yeah, there's somebody behind the microphone doing that. I'm one of those people. But at the time, a long time ago, I didn't know what that was. And it took my grandma describing to me what I could do with that career and what I could do in that arena. And it was to be able to use my voice, have fun, but particularly sold me on I could wear my pajamas and ride in a limo. I don't know why that worked. Maybe it was young me, but it worked. And it put me on a path to this. And so I went to figure out what I could do. So I did one of my first classes almost 15 years ago and got some great knowledge out of that class. I couldn't afford it. The car that I was driving wasn't mine. And I showed up anyways, each week to that classroom, each week to learn something. And how I got into voiceover was just like a lot of people where it all is just these connecting pieces, a bunch of luck and a bunch of being somewhere at the right time and being blessed to be there. I first got noticed by someone that I was serving at one of my tables because I was a server for many years and a bartender. And he was from the UK and he noticed me. He noticed my voice and he's like, hey, if you don't mind, come over sometime. I'd love to talk to you and get you on my microphone and play around. We did a little bit of that. And then he was like, do you mind if I record you? We got to know each other more before he asked if he could record me. But he's like, do you mind if I record you and put it on YouTube? Do a trailer. So I did a trailer, put it on YouTube and didn't think much of it. And I was at the time getting some tattoos. I'm all tatted up and get some tattoos. And I just so happened to I got tatted by someone that also was tatting who would become my agent. When she asked her, well, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I work in voiceover. She's like, oh my God, I have to show you this guy. So she goes to YouTube, brings up the video, shows me, and then serendipity, yes. Fast forward, just by like maybe a couple weeks, I'm having meetings at my first agency, and then I'm getting signed by my first agency. And that was 13 years ago. And so it's crazy because that was all. It felt like it was really, really random at the time. Now it all makes sense. Every single bit of it all makes sense. And all the obstacles that I went through were not only being a Black dude in Hollywood and a Black guy in Phoenix and all this, it also was the challenges of life. I went into my adulthood not knowing a damn thing. I didn't know what taxes were. I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know how to keep a job. I didn't know how to have self-respect. I didn't know how to show respect. I didn't know all of these things going into my adulthood. And so I felt like I was at a major disadvantage, but had to make it work no matter what. And I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I had the right people come into my life at the right times. I'm grateful I had the wrong people come into my life at the right times, because I learned so many lessons about life that helped me better understand myself when I got into a booth, when I got opportunity, when someone was like, hey, could you do this? Could you try this? I love your voice. Do you mind reading it? When I got the opportunity, I was prepared for it. And even if life threw all the curveballs and the cornhole sacks and all the footballs at my head it could, I just so happened to be also being prepared for life to hand me all the beautiful joy and love and opportunity that it did. And so I'm very, very grateful again. I'm gonna say it one more time, that I'm here right now, because battling all of life and depression and anxiety and suicide and everything that came along with that, and also the challenges of becoming a father, and the challenges of being a good partner, and the challenges of being a good son and a good cousin, a good brother, all of these things, all of those challenges, all culminating to being right here, right now. So that's my point of view on challenges and obstacles. And what brings me Black joy, and I'm probably going to talk about this later on too, I'm sure, and I talk about this anytime I get the chance to, is getting the opportunity to be free and have time. And it's something that so many of us overlook. I didn't think about it at all until I had it, until I had time. And my success in this industry and my success as a human being, I equate it all to being able to have time. I have so much time to be a good present father. I have so much time to be a present partner. I have so much time to be able to be present for myself, for my mental health, for my physical, my body, to put time and energy into myself, to put time and energy to the family that I love. I put time and energy into the friendships I want to grow and the community I want to grow in. Time. It is immensely important to get that. And I'm so grateful again that all of these things have collided to give me that time, to have the time to sit right here and get to talk to all of y'all. So that's what brings me Black joy.
Beautifully
said,
brother. Beautifully said. Thank you. And I can't geek out enough about the idea of being ready and being prepared. I think a lot in any industry we want, but it's like spend all that time of wanting to prepare. I say it all the time. And real quick, I'm gonna give this man even more flowers, man. Because when I first moved out here, one of the first things I ever worked on, I just did a few lines, but this man was the lead in it, and he played a Black character. And I remember finding out that he was in it, and I didn't know who he was, but I saw a Black man as the lead in an anime project, and I was like, I'm so inspired. I was like, that I'm chasing that thrill, because I see that it's possible, because this man is showing me it's possible. So I'm giving him some more flowers. Thank you, brother. We're going to go on to our next question. I want to ask the panel, and I'll go around and I'll just like call on you if that's okay. I would like to know, for you, what do you believe that are some of the biggest challenges that we as Black people are facing today in the entertainment industry? And have you faced any similar challenges? I know we've spoke on some challenges, so if there are other challenges that come to mind, if you want to like pontificate upon some of the challenges that you already spoke of, please feel free to. And also, like if you've experienced any of those challenges, how have you yourself navigated those? Can we start with Catrice?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been in the industry like many of you for a couple decades, almost 3 at this point. So I feel like when I first entered, a lot of it was about confidence in my ability, in my value, in my what I could contribute in the rooms that I was in. So that required, I had to look in the mirror and say that required work on me, right? Because I was in these rooms. And so I wanted to make sure that I was contributing and providing a perspective and voice. And I'll give you an example of this. So, I came into a department at the time I was the youngest at the time. I was the only female and the only person of color. And so, the industry that I was in, particularly when you talk about labor relations, I didn't look like, there was nobody that looked like me. And so when we talk about representation, I think that, is another area we're going to touch. But it was really important for me to find a mentor or folks that I could help me navigate the waters that I was in. So just, there's a lot there, but just developing the confidence over time was one of the challenges I think that I had to get real with early on. But then speaking up, like, for example, we'll be in negotiations and people will talk about provisions that, we have to make cuts or we have to do this and this and that. And then I remember somebody talking about like night premiums. I don't know if you all are in unions and guilds that have certain things like that, where people are working overnight and you get paid overnight. Well, my family, I was the only one at that table who had parents, family members who worked nights. And so when they were talking about, oh, we need to cut this, it wasn't that I was saying, oh, no, we can't. But I want you to think about what this means to people, that we need to think about it in terms of the impact that it's going to have, that those people that are working night shift, like your health, your family. I was a little kid staying at home by myself because there was nobody else to be at home with, like all of those things. So it put it in perspective. It may be that you still end up having to do it, but we do it in a more humane, kinder, over time way and appreciate the impact. So I don't know if I answered your question entirely, but that was, those are the moments for me, making sure that I was using my voice in the moments that needed to be used and contribute my life perspective in a way that could be helpful in decisions being made and things like that. So that's part of my journey.
No, that's great. I appreciate you saying that, because there is this element of less of us in the room, and although it has increased, that is still a challenge that we face. And if there's less of us in the room, there's less of us speaking for us, essentially. So that is definitely a challenge, and I appreciate you speaking on that. And just hearing you were the only one is crazy, but I believe you. I believe you.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna move on to our next panelist. Denvisa. Denvisa, can you also answer that question for me? Oh, you are muted. It's all good.
My
You look
bad.
very passionate, and I loved it.
It was like one of the things that is still a very significant challenge, in addition to the lack of representation in certain spaces, is having to sort of check authenticity and check sensitivity around difference, identity, culture, all of that within creative spaces. This idea that the dominant group is sort of in their own, ivory tower about thinking about how they perceive other people, other cultures, other groups. It becomes very important as a Black woman creative to raise the flag and not necessarily educate, but really point out to folks the necessary call outs around intersectionality and, why certain creative is really tone deaf or offensive versus, being cute or entertaining or, provocative in a positive way. So this is something that I had to do, in boardrooms at Sony. Like, it would be very corny for Lauryn Hill to do fill in the blank. And, as the only Black woman in the room, sometimes, I mean, most of the people on that team were people of color, but sometimes when we're talking about creative, as her campaign writer, I had to stand up and raise the flag and call out, like, this is not something that we should do in the interest of trying to market this album, right? And here's why. and making the case. And that's a real challenge for people with decision-making power who are people of color, and particularly who are, Black in these spaces, especially when it comes to Black art and Black product, right? They're quick to tell us what is and isn't best for our artists just because they reach a certain echelon or they become mainstream or what have you. And so, I find that is still very much a challenge. And you can tell from, some of the missteps that you see happening in some of these campaigns with some of these brands that, for all of these people sitting around the table giving oversight, a lot of tone deaf and insensitive content is making it to air or making it into, television shows and films. And that's still, a huge challenge. And I guess it's, part of why I take the work that I do seriously in terms of making sure that I'm preserving the integrity of identity in whatever space I find myself in. Even if it's not my own, like if it's, another group and I can tell that it's patently offensive or that it's racist or that it's ableist or that it's ageist, I'm going to say something.
Yeah. I just, you sparked something in me that I recently had dealt with, and so I'm just like, it hits home for me. It hits home, and it's beautiful to hear for someone like you said, like Lauryn Hill, having someone like you to speak upon her, because there's so much that we like. I don't personally know how all of that is necessarily handled. And from the outside, I'm like, Lauryn Hill speak for herself. I'm like, no, that's not, like, she has a team, and it's
right. She's not always in the room. And so it's
Yeah.
up to her. It's up to the people who share identity in a lot of these cases, particularly with Black artists, to represent that voice and say, hey, I can already tell you that this is going to work against her, even though you think it's a good idea. It's not, right? And then, be prepared to sort of make the case. And this is why it's so important to have executives at every level, in every discipline. Her campaign in particular was unique in that just about everyone was a person of color on that team, from the marketing director to the publicist to myself as the, campaign copywriter. And you can see from how successful that album was that shared identity mattered and made a difference. So yeah, it's still a huge challenge. And the more popular and the more mainstream we become, the more difficult it is to find non-white, team members, representatives who have the heft and who have the understanding and who can shake rooms and flip tables on your behalf. And so, it's super important.
Yeah, and before we move on, I just gotta say, because you're exactly right, like that, having that team of people of color behind that album has literally like preserved its longevity. Like my niece, who she just graduated high school, like that's her favorite album. I'm like, you weren't even alive. But it's like it speaks. It speaks to today's youth, to tomorrow's youth, yesterday's youth. It speaks to all of us. So I just gotta say that because it's legendary. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was a beautiful project to be a part of.
All right, Kane.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think there's two things. I'm gonna piggyback off of more people in the room. More people in the room that look like us, that sound like us, that talk like us, that understand our walk of life. I can sadly, but graciously say that it's only been in the past few years that I've worked with Black people. Like my agents have never been Black, and most anyone in the studio not Black. Most anyone that's the copywriter, or that is the producer, or that is the line doesn't. They're almost never Black, and only recently did this start to happen. And it's funny because I noticed it and was like, "Huh, that was weird." I guess it was weird. There was like 3 of us on that Zoom. That's crazy. That blew my mind, and that's only been the past few years. So yes, piggyback on that. More of us in the room and in these positions of power that understand. Another point that I'd like to make is look, Black people people of color, and Black women, they're already fighting so many other fights. They're already fighting so many other fronts. There's so much more outside of this industry, so much more outside of voiceover, so much more outside of all this that we're talking about right now, that everybody's also fighting. We're also fighting injustices in our streets, in our housing, and our employment, and all over the place. There's fires that we're trying to put out, and we're trying to preserve our history. Like there's so much. There's so much more that we're fighting for, and then you have to throw in that we also need to be able to be strong enough. If we don't have the representation in the room with us, which we often don't, then we have to be the strongest point in that room, out and outside of that room. That's tiring. So I think something that Black people are going and people of color are going to have to that plagues us now, and that it will continue to plague us for sadly a long time until we can continue to break down these walls and destroy these ceilings and rebuild the entire damn house. Is we have to persevere and take rest when we need it and continue to fight regardless. But man, I don't even. It hit me so hard listening to each of you that like, yeah, we're tired. We're already tired. So having to do everything else for ourselves, that's also tiring. So get rest, talk to others, build a community. Don't give up. Don't give up. And continue to press forward, because each one of us have different points in these generations that we've been around in the industry, and I'm just talking the industry now. That like we've seen the changes, we've seen where we need to stand, and what I can say from listening to everybody so far, not a damn thing has changed. It is the same struggles and the same issues, but now we can really see it, and now we have something like this where we can actually talk about it, and we can really get across. I'm over here in Phoenix, and everyone else is in other places, and whoever's watching us on the other side of these cameras are all in other positions, and hoping all over the country, maybe all over the world, who knows? And like it hasn't changed, but there has been progress, and it hasn't changed, but we're not giving up. So again, Black people need to get rest and be ready that this is the long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint. As much as I want to say that everything's all hunky dory, beautiful, play, fun all the time, it is not. It is very difficult. And so Black people are tired. We'll probably remain tired, but in the end, it'll absolutely be worth it. I hope I stayed on topic, but that's what I got to say.
That was great. Thank you. Jogged my mind of a few things, but I'm like, let me not go down my own rabbit hole. But thank you for that. Thank you so much. Jayann, I know you already spoke on some challenges. We definitely want to hear more from you on what you believe some of these challenges that folks of color are facing in the industry.
Everyone's probably like practically covered everything. So I'm not going to take too long. I think for me it's twofold, especially specifically talking about the gaming industry. So just talking about like what happened last year, there was a whole March till end of year campaign that just online bullying towards myself and other like women and marginalized people in the gaming industry from the consumers, right? There was even a point where one of the, I don't know if you ever heard about a game called Tales of Kenzera Zhao, which is a game that was spearheaded by Abu Bakr Salim, who is Adam in House of the Dragon. But he created his own game studio, and you've got these content creators using slurs and stuff and talking, and these videos get like thousands of views. And I think one of the things that I think in 2020, and obviously the unfortunate murder of George Floyd, made people perk up for a minute and then go back to white nonchalance. And that's the one thing that I think still hinders things today is, they often occupy positions of gatekeeping. And until they recognize something is wild enough to make a change, that's when they decide to make a change. And it's nonchalance, because you shouldn't have to wait for the death of someone to recognize that your campaigns, your policies, the way you hire is clearly discriminating against groups, even if it's inadvertently doing so. So white nonchalance is one of the things that still holds us back as a general populace. I think a lot of the dominant group need to really undo a lot of subconscious bias, unconscious bias, and in order to open up those doors. And that's not to say we can't build ourselves, but the way the world works right now, there's a lot of that still hinders us. And then the other thing I think, and it may be a bit controversial, but I think making sure that whether it's within the Black community or outside the Black community, that people value your work, especially coming from a kind of community perspective. Often it can be other people, but also my own people undermining the amount of time and work and effort it takes to do things. And sometimes you get that idea that just because we're in the same community, someone shouldn't be able to cover their overheads to do something, which is not fair. As a community, we need to work together. And I think there's a way of networking that often happens only when we're the only people in the room, but when we're a populace, then it's slightly different. So I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but it's just a phenomenon that I've noticed, which is slightly different in maybe in the gaming industry. But I think it's the white nonchalance specifically that is very interesting to me, and it only seems to, when everything's fine and we're not kicking up a fuss, that's when things are back to normal. But we still have to deal with the gatekeeping, the exclusion, the being hired like very few times. And I think we need to shift that as a norm in general. So I think that's still an area.
I couldn't agree more. There's such a flavor in the world of like, I'm quick to forget. Like, oh, let me care about this for 2 You know, I equate it to like kids, like literally how kids behave when you tell a kid like don't do that or behave, and they do it for 5 minutes and they know how to do it and then they stop. I'm like, y'all are still replicating behavior as if you were a child, which is dangerous.
It is dangerous.
Darius, do you mind if I just kind of add something to this
Please,
part of the conversation? One of the things that is a huge challenge, I think, is parity in terms of payment, right? For whatever it is that we're doing. It's super, super important for us, no matter what part of the journey we're on in our careers, to talk about money, to talk numbers with our peers, with our champions, our sponsors, our mentors, other people in the industry who aren't necessarily trying to do the same thing that you're doing, or even people who work in your same business, but they're not a fit for whatever the job is, you know, right? Like those numbers need to be discussed openly, even if it's in a small group, so that you know that you're getting what you should be getting and what everyone else is getting. I mean, we know that for every 100 cents of the white male dollar, Black women get somewhere between 61 cents and 69 cents, right? And so Black men, I think the number is like 78 cents, right? So we're all being undercut just based on our identity, right? So that conversation is super, super important. And I find that it's challenging because we've all been programmed to be very precious and protective of fees, salaries, income, all of that. And that's something that I think needs to be dismantled among us because, you know, in the process of us, quote unquote, hoarding this information or harboring it, we're not getting paid what we deserve.
Mm-hmm. You elucidated that perfect. That's what I was trying to get at, but I didn't say it right. But yeah, that's exactly what I mean in terms of that transparency amongst peers and when we're in the room. It's really important. I have some friends in the UK in the gaming scene, and when a campaign comes to us, I'm like, how much do you get paid? Do you get this paid? And they're like, how much do you get? I'm like, well, okay, no, this ain't right. So I agree with you completely.
It's a big problem for content creators in the social space, right? There's so many Black creators that have these huge footprints and have this huge level of engagement, and they're getting a fraction of what their white counterparts are getting for doing the same kinds of content, or they're being muled out and being asked to do, you know, 2 and 3 times more in terms of what they're generating for brands and clients. And, you know, at a certain point, it's okay to say no, or it's okay to counter and get more money or get different kinds of compensation to round out whatever the package is. But if we're not even having those conversations, we don't even know that's possible, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things sorry, Catrice. Sorry.
I just would co-sign on that. I love how you're talk about money and whether it is, you know, for compensation for your work. But I think just talking about money, period, in terms of assets and stock and values and investing. So just financial literacy, period, is such a huge thing. I mean, if you learn it early, and you get comfortable with it early, so start talking to people in your family, kids, right? So that they're comfortable with it and understand it, I think is so critical. I know my mom early on with both my niece and nephew was like, here, instead of buying you toys, I'm gonna buy you a share in this company, and then you can see how it grows, right? Like, so starting early on, I think is really important too.
I just wanted to, that's amazing. Like that is so important. And I just wanted to circle back to Tempisa's point, specifically around talking in the content creator world. And I don't know who's watching in terms of whether this is applicable to you, but one thing I do and encourage within my community is to, if you're working with a brand, ask about favored nations, which is a term within your contract that should allow you to see they may not offer it to you, but if they don't offer it to you, then you can ask why. And favored nations is basically asking if there's pay parity between everyone they're working with for a certain contract. So I do it for myself specifically, but also for others. So if it's not favored nations, okay, what's the reason why? And that person may have a higher engagement or a higher following or etc. But the reason is clear as to why you're being not paid the same, as opposed to it's someone who is very much on par with you and they're getting paid a different amount. So I just wanted to also add that favored nations is a beautiful term that I use a lot for myself, which I learned from my agent as well.
Thank you for that. I didn't even know that. So, wow. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for chiming in and the feedback. We are at our 10 minutes till. So, I'm going to see where we get with this last question. And if we still have time, I'll do a quick one after. But I'd like to go down the panel really quick. And I want to ask, what do you envision for the future of the entertainment industry in terms of diversity? And what is something that you would say to aspiring Black youth in the entertainment industry today? So again, future, what do you see in the future? And what would you tell to, the Black youth aspiring to be in your field, whatever your field is? What would you say to them today? Can we start with Catrice?
So I've been saying this now. Future is upskilling and having multiple skills in this industry. I think many of us, I can speak for myself, have a specialty, employment or labor law, particularly entertainment. But the more I am open to learning technology, AI, whatever the next thing is going to be, so staying open to that. And as a creative, because I'm around the creative community so much, it's about how much you can take on across jurisdiction. I mean, I'm already seeing Kane talking about your voiceover, but your screenwriting, what those other skills that you can add to your toolkit, I think is super important. It's going to be about how much you can bring to a project, how much, working in different lanes, I would say, to future-proof your marketability.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to unmute, did not let me unmute. One of those. Jayanne, same question.
I think it's I'm going to speak specifically for gaming, and it's very difficult for people to get into gaming from a perspective that's not just about being a content creator. Because when people think about gaming, they think about Twitch streaming, and people forget that there's all different areas in the industry that you can work on, similar to any other kind of industry. My suggestion would be to understand the reality, which is you most likely will still be maybe the only person in the room, but don't let that discourage you. There are communities, there are groups like Black Girl Gamers, Black in Gaming, Black Gamers Revolution, and other communities that can be your hubs for community, but also for helping you develop your career, as well as like events and stuff where you can meet other people. But community is very, very important within the in the gaming industry as just a general thing, because gaming is made of different subcultures, but specifically if you're a Black or a person of color or marginalized in any other way, find your community, because they will help you kind of progress within the industry, because it is still quite difficult.
Thank you. Kane?
Okay, nice and easy. 2 points. One, what I believe the future is going to be, and how I can envision it. I'm going to be very optimistic about it. I think we're going to see diversity grow, and we're going to see not only Black stories continue to be told, or people of color and have their stories told, but stories in general, and people of color in those roles. That's what I believe the future has to hold, because it's something that we deserve. We deserve that the next Mission Impossible doesn't have to be a white dude, that the love interest in every single movie, show, and everything else has to be, the pretty blonde white girl. And, it doesn't have to be what it's always been. It can be something different, because these stories are also lived in other skin, and so I believe wholeheartedly, optimistically, we will see that change. We will see diversity grow, and not just Black stories, not just people of color stories. It will be stories that we'll see more people of color stepping in those roles, and it not being about a Black guy or a Black woman or this person or that person. It'll be just a person, because that's what we all are. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I believe will happen. Then, when it comes to talking to Black youth, something that I preached a lot, and I still do. And when I was even teaching classes, it was what my class theme was, and specifically for voiceover, learn your voice, learn who you are behind the mic, learn how to manage who you are, whether you're in the booth, whether you're in a session and outside of it. Take care of your mental health, take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of everything else that isn't just the fun thing you get to do. Because everything else that you do that isn't so fun, that isn't the most cool thing in the world, allows you the ability to get to do the fun thing. So you're taking care of your mind, take care of your body. It'll be more fun that way to do what we get to do. And so that's what I have to say to everybody. Actually, you know what? Not just Black youth, everybody on the other side of the camera, because I don't know who's there, but all of y'all, take care of your mind, take care of your body. It will be worth it. It will be worth it, and we will see the changes. I am not giving up on that belief. We will see those changes. So that's what I got to say.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Take care of yourself. Yes. Timbisa?
So I'm going to take it way back to what I first started with when I was introducing myself, and that is to secure an internship, become someone's apprentice, like get underneath someone in the field that you're in, not literally, of course, Title IX, hello. We want to, move with integrity and make sure that we're learning while we're earning, right? And sometimes the monetary compensation is not going to always be there, but the opportunity to learn from someone who is established, someone who is proven, and someone who is willing to teach is its own compensation when you're beginning your career, or if you're transitioning and swerving into a different lane from what you've been doing previously. It's so important to put yourself in position to get the real-time, real-world experience of that field, right? I'm a big proponent of study, of education, of reading books, of listening to audiobooks, really sort of getting all of that. But there's no substitute for actually being in the environment and having that safety net to be able to make mistakes or, mess something up, but be able to course correct, pivot, get coaching, take coaching, and learn how to be effective in the job. It's also a great way to see that it is not what you want. Part of the mystique about our industry is that people don't even know all the careers there are. And that's why I wrote my book, because everybody was either trying to have a microphone or be on stage or, be a camera person or be an engineer, like in the recording, sort of side of things. But there's just so many industries. I mean, Catrice is a perfect example. Like legal within entertainment has so many striations. So if you're interested in law, but you also love entertainment, you don't have to choose, right? You can do both. So it's really important for people to put themselves into programs, fellowships, cohorts, labs where they're going to work with you for, weeks, months, maybe even a year to, help you understand the world that you're looking to be a part of. And I'm also like not someone who believes in starving artists. I feel like artists deserve to live well and deserve to thrive and not have to be living, payment to payment, right? So the best way to matriculate in this business is to learn on the job in a lot of instances, because there aren't academic programs for every part of the business that are available to people, unfortunately, right? And so if there isn't a degree available, well, then you have to kind of treat it like tradespeople treat it, right? If you want to be a welder, well, you got to go work with welders. And then they put you through a whole series of tests to make sure that you're going to be a good welder who's going to keep people safe, keep yourself safe, and build things properly, right? And so the same is true for the entertainment industry. There aren't a whole lot of academic programs for some of these careers that are lesser known, but are very lucrative and allow for longevity. And the way to kind of see that is to water test it for yourself and put yourself in a program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Before, I know we are at 7, so I understand if people have to leave.
I'm good for a little bit.
I just want to respect that we have one question that anybody could answer, anybody could not answer. It's totally up to you if this pertains to you. But we got a question from Bree that I want to throw at y'all real quick. So Bree is trying to create 2 different projects. One that is about Black superheroes, something like Smallville, and also a slice of life comic that is similar to Living Single. How do you think Bree can approach these projects, and what have you wanted to see in a Black superhero and or the Black comic that, has a slice of life like Living Single?
So I guess my question back to Bree, and maybe she can pop it in the chat, is like, what role is she playing in this? Is she a screenwriter? Is she a show creator? Is she an actor? Like, or is she a producer? Like, what vantage point should we be answering?
It seems like writer, but I could be wrong. It seems like Bree is creating it. But again, I could be wrong.
Okay. I would say that depending upon what this is, if it's a feature-length film and you've got a screenplay, sort of one way into this is to take a scene or take a nice chunk of it and produce a short so that it can kind of serve as a calling card for the larger feature if you don't have budget to actually get the full film made, right? Maybe take some of the most pivotal or most interesting 10 to 20 pages and make a short from that is one way into it. If you're dealing with episodic television, then a similar path is to write a pilot episode from that series. Doesn't have to be the very first episode, but it should be the most compelling episode within your episodic breakdown for how you see the series rolling out. And that's what I would recommend, sort of as a writer, sort of a way to approach it, because you aren't going to be able to get actors attached. You're not going to be able to get producers or directors attached without the material, right? People kind of need to see what it is that your vision is and try to see how they can, be a part of helping you execute on that. As badly as they treat writers, we are the cornerstone of everything. There's no story. I mean, there's no project without a story. Even if there's no voiceover, even if it's subtitles, if there's action, if there's movement, if people are doing things, that has to be written, even if it's not spoken. So that's where I would start.
To follow up on Tembisa's point, I'm a writer-ish, but I'm not a writer, but I like that. But my friend former colleague of mine was or is. And she would also attend and apply to residencies. So I know Netflix has residencies and these kind of programs that allow you to develop. So I know Mara Brock-Akil has one, and these programs that can help you not just develop your project, but network as well. And those are quite useful. And then something, I guess, following on from Tembisa's point, so like after you have your material, this is something that my friend did that was quite successful for her. Is like maybe when you're later down the line and you have more of a cousin network from maybe the residencies or meeting other writers, is to network parallel. And so what she did, she held a table read for her own content off of her own back, and then attracted like up and coming actors and voice actors and people, and just had them in the room just to kind of witness and experience her piece of content. You don't necessarily need to wait for someone else to do it for you. You can network and find a venue, maybe get it at a reduced cost, and have people in the room just listening to your content. And like Tambisa said, maybe the most compelling episode part of it. But I think to also champion your own work yourself, I think is really important as well. So everything Tambisa said, maybe later on down the line, that would be something that you could do.
Can I
Please
do something real quick?
please, take your time.
Okay, cool. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna be real artsy and be real straightforward. So bear with me, Bree. Okay, so hear me out. I don't know where you are in your process, so I'm gonna give it to you how I like to do things, because I'm a screenwriter myself, and there's a lot of different ways that I pretty much do everything that I do. And so here's what I'm gonna say for you. Study, 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 study. You want to make a superhero anything, watch and read all the superhero stuff that you can. You want to make a slice of life something, then watch and read all of the slice of life stuff that you can. If you can go online, find the scripts, read those PDFs. If it's on a streaming service, you gotta put a few bucks on a Prime or on a Peacock or whatever to be able to get to watch the pilot or the first couple of episodes, or to watch that film, or to get that comic, whatever it is. But don't break your bank. Get it and do it, study, and get to learn it on the outside. Because that's so pivotal. No matter how much money, no matter how much education, no matter how much of anything you have, you're still going to have to study. So I say learn it now and engage with all that content and everything that you want to create. Go find things like it, study it, enjoy it, and then embody it. Number 2, this is where the artsy part comes in. Ryan Coogler has a great quote, and he says, there's power in seeing someone that looks like you on the screen in a position of heroism. And I'm sure he's talking about Black Panther. And it's a great quote, because that first chunk of it, there's power in seeing someone like you in general in any arena, whether it's that Sky Rizzy commercial, or it's in a film like Sinners, or it's just out and about and you see the print modeling, whatever it is, seeing someone like you, seeing people like us. So this is where I'm gonna get real artsy, Bree. For you, I say the superhero that you want to develop, go look in the mirror and imagine the type of superhero you want to be, and then go make that, because that's exactly how I like to write. That's exactly what I vibe with. I want to watch the things that I want to write the things that I want to watch. I want to create the things that I want to engage with. I want to, involve myself in the things that I genuinely enjoy. So be artsy, have fun, be weird, be dynamic and off and crazy and disciplined and all of those things. But go and look at yourself and really write down those adjectives of who you think you'd want to be as a superhero, and then try to develop that and have fun with it, because that's all we really got in the end. Whether we get to create our big thing, have our comic, have our movie, have our show or whatever, or if it is just for us, either way, that's my point of view on it. So, yay.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you. I mean, Bree, you're already doing something by being here today, so good on you. Please, everybody watching, join me in thanking our amazing panel, Tembisa Mshaka, Catrice Monson, J.N. Lopez, King, Jungbluth Murray. I am Darius Marquise Johnson. Let's also give a huge thanks to the Halp Network and all those who have been just assisting this amazing panel. We've been like just gearing up for this for weeks now. So thank you so much for being a part of this. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Juneteenth. Be safe. Take care.
Wait. Should we give people our handles if they want to follow us or connect
yes.
with us?
Let's do it.
I don't know if you guys, if they gave it already, but we could put them in the chat, I suppose.
Go ahead to everyone.
Add it in the chat. Say it out loud. We could get a billboard, whatever you. Hey, look.
Okay, I'm gonna get a billboard because I don't have social media. Okay,
I'm Official Lip Game on IG and Facebook.
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't have.
And I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I have zero social media. I love it. I'm gonna always have zero social media because I love it. And so,
I mean,
email me.
Word up. That is the way to live, honestly.
It's beautiful. My mental health is clear, and I have so much time. So I'm putting my email in the chat. Hit me up if you got an audition you want me to hear. You want some feedback on the script. You want to chit chat about the industry. You want to know what's going on in my life. Or you need somebody. You need some love, some help, some support, whatever. Hit me up, and I got y'all.
You all are the best. Thank you so much for being such your beacons of light, all of you. So it truly is a treat to witness all the wisdom you're dropping today. Yeah, voice of God, Kane. I'm not being seen, but thank you all.
That's why I added myself. Yes, thank you everybody for being a part of this. Please follow our amazing panelists. Check out their journey as we continue on this wild roller coaster of all of our individual careers. But until then, we'll see you hopefully soon in a game, on TV, in the courtroom, wherever. Look, wherever.
Hopefully, I do not see you in the courtroom. Yes, I would.
No. Hey, look, I'm saying you could be watching. I don't know.
We're all
I'm trying to give you representation.
We were on a straight path
in Starbucks. In Starbucks, Yeah, there we go. Instead of the courtroom, in Starbucks.
Oh snap.
We're all doing our civic duty.
You could be doing jury duty. You know what I mean? You could. I got jury duty.
And we definitely need more Black folks on these juries. Y'all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your holiday. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.